Hey guys, happy Friday. It's been a while since I've been on here and I wanted to come to you. I just got home from a wonderful 3-day conference. It's called Handle with Care. Right here is the information. It's founded in West Virginia. It's called handlewithcarewestvirginia.org. Go to that site. If you do not have a Handle in Care or have not heard about it, it is protecting children, and it's a West Virginia Center for Children's Justice. But there's a Handle with Care all across the country in different states, but it was started here in West Virginia, and it's to protect children, to help them heal, and to help them thrive in their lives. And this conference was 3 days. It happens every year. You can attend it virtually or in person, and they had people from Texas, Florida, Virginia, all around. And I don't know what population that you may work with. If you work with children, I don't know who watches this, but I do know that in life we all have had some sort of trauma in our lives, and I just happen to have a job as a social and emotional learning specialist to deal with kids of trauma, kids that have high ACEs, which ACEs is adverse childhood experiences. And as I reflect on the scores of the children in my building, I say 45% of those kids have an ACE score of 4 or above. And 3 means that there's going to be some effects in your livelihood, even as far as taking years off of your lives, because if you have an ACE score of 3 or more, you're more prone to alcohol, drugs, addictions, divorce, sicknesses, all kinds of things that you're prone to. And so this conference, it is filled with public speakers who are educating you in their fields, their expertise in their fields. They're helping you learn more of what you can be doing, how to look at things, perspective to take, an approach to take, just really helping you to understand and advocating for the child, especially if you work with children. Trauma informed is the word that we want to use, because those kids who in your classroom, or that in your neighborhood, or even in your family, like they get into things, they're behaviorally disordered, and they can't sit still, or they're fighting. Or then you have those ones that are really withdrawn and isolate, and then you have the perfectionists, which sometimes fly under the radar because they're not behavior problems at all. But as you study trauma, and I've been studying it for a while. I've worked at, I started out my career at Camac Children's Center and Presley Ridge as the art teacher, and I've always felt really drawn to kids who were hurting, who were from broken families or getting in trouble, because the one thing that I never had was judgment on those kids. I never looked at those kids and said, oh, they can never be anything. They're worthless, they're useless, they're no good. I always was able to see their hearts. I was able to see their gifts and talents that God had given them. And I was really a safe person for them. And God has brought me full circle from that time of being age 21, right in the beginning of my career, working with kids of trauma, swinging back around to the present date of 2023 and working with kids of trauma, not as their art teacher, but literally as their advocate and their safe person. I have the best job ever. I get to really talk to the kids, and I get to say, how are you feeling? What's on your mind? And really listen to them. I hear them. I get to hear their voices. I get to hear their stories. I get to hear what their dreams are, what their desires are, what they think, what their values are, what they enjoy doing. Most kids who stay in trouble never really get asked those questions. They're just always told they're bad, and they need to do this, and they need to do that, and they need to do this. And you know what? The stigma there is that these kids are not bad. These kids are trauma kids. These kids, it's not what has happened. It's not what's wrong with you. It's what's happened to you. Their body is just reacting to what their brains have lived through. And most of the kids are on high alert. They are always scanning the room, not feeling safe in their environments. They can be triggered at any second. They can go off. They can't regulate their emotions. And this is not something that is their fault. It's not their fault. It's not as simple as, if you sit in your seat and be quiet and do your work, I'll give you a sticker, I'll give you a piece of candy. No. Their brains are hardwired for something greater than that. And so it's just a lot of studying to understand trauma, and I'm no expert on it, but I do have a drive to passionately pursue and understand, because I work with those kids, and one of the biggest missions in my life that God has brought to me is healing hearts. Healing hearts, and it's possible. There's hope. There is hope out there. I know, because my heart has been healed, and I can honestly say that I have suffered trauma. And to be able to understand and to know the inner workings of maybe a victim, mine started back as early as in childhood, and I'm not going to go on here and tell my whole story, but I just have experienced trauma from a very early age. And it's just, the cycles of my belief system, of how I felt about myself, of everything was just compounded, and I kept making choices that I didn't know why I was making them. Living life backwards now, being age 55, looking back, healing from my trauma, I see why that happened, where, the path deviated, and able to heal, and healed people. Yay. Hurt people too. And I just want to say that if you have experienced trauma and your life is on a trajectory of like nowhere but down, there's a couple things that you need to do. One, you need to ask for help. You need to get the help that you need. If you are an alcoholic, or you're addicted to drugs, or you overeat, or you undereat, or you are addicted to pornography, or any addictions that you have is really stemming from trauma. And that addiction is a liar. Okay? It makes you believe that, this makes you feel good, and this makes you feel worthy, and like it lies to you. And once you get into those addictions, it is really hard to get out of it, because it's a matter of your brain being hit with some pretty heavy dopamine is the word, I think. But there's recovery, but it takes getting real. It takes reaching out, and having that one person. Find a safe person. If you don't have a person, find a person. And like, it only takes one person to care and love for a child to really turn their life around, regardless. Someone feeling like I'm seen, I'm heard, I'm valued, I'm loved. Because a lot of kids, They don't have that. They don't feel that. And you can be that someone in someone's life. And the trauma kids don't grow up to be thriving unless there's intervention and help and that safe person. They will grow up most likely to be addicts. And that's sad. But that's just the trajectory of what happens. And so early interventions is crucial, and education is necessary. And I just want, I advocate for mental health. I advocate for children and children's justice. I just want to do all that I can. And I would, if you're interested and wanting to be an advocate and to help where you can and to spread awareness, you need to reach out to Handle with Care. Also, ACEs Coalition. They have where you can volunteer, you can learn more about kids of trauma. And you can also, in the process, you can say, you know what, I was that trauma kid. You can find healing too. You're never too old to change your life. There's hope, guys. You can flip the script. It just takes being honest and real. And I've said on here that Jesus is the answer, which he is. He is the ultimate physician of healing our broken heart. But there are steps that you have to take, and there's people that will walk alongside that with you. And it's just a matter of choice, and it's a matter of making a difference in people's lives. When you see that kid and maybe you're a teacher, maybe they're in your classroom, just know that they didn't ask to be this way. They don't even want to be this way. And it's really hard to control what's going on with them. It takes some intervention, and it takes a lot of work and intentionality. And that doesn't come easily. A sticker or a piece of candy won't help a kid. It might encourage, but it's not going to change those maladaptive behaviors that they have learned their entire life to protect themselves from. And so, understanding trauma is important, to be trauma informed when you're working with kids. And I just hope that you do the investment and do the work. And judging their parents is not a good thing either. It's generational trauma. It's just being handed down, and that is difficult to change. And so, it is only by the grace of God that we are not where others are. And if you can lend a helping hand, do so. If nothing else, you can at least speak love over them and hope. And, So I attended the conference, and it was great. And I met a lot of new people, and I did some networking. And excited about the new year with the things that I've learned and how I can put that into helping my kids. But I mainly wanted to come on here and say, we all have trauma. Our scores aren't all the same, and if you know that you are a victim of some kind of abuse as a child, and you never reached out and you got help, guys, it's not too late. Your story, God is in your story, and he can change that, and he wants to heal your heart, and he loves you so, so much. But you really have to be transparent. You have to be aware, and you have to reach out. You have to say, I just don't want my life to be this way. And I promise you, it won't be. If you turn it over to the Lord, he will put people in your path. He will transform your life. He will transform your mind, and he will heal your heart. I'm living proof, and you can't argue with a changed life. So I hope you have a beautiful Friday and a wonderful weekend. Thank you.